Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market, where I take a look at the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. I do it because I want you to be informed. It never hurts when you're a consumer to be informed. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. As always, I bring you the very latest news on what is happening here in the real estate market conditions, how many contracts were signed. I look at the Manhattan, the luxury, and the Brooklyn markets. I bring you this news because being an informed buyer, seller, homeowner is essential to your success. So if you have any questions or you find this kind of thing interesting and useful to you, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to post your comments below. I'm always happy to talk with you. Let's get started. We're going to start with the luxury market. This is for the period of July 4th to July 10th. There were 19 contracts signed last week. That is 7 fewer than the week before. Condos outsold co-ops 11-6, and there were 2 townhouses in the mix. When you think about last week's contract activity, it's not surprising that there were fewer contracts signed. We had July 4th in there, and that absolutely makes a difference. Historically speaking, if you look at the 10-year track of contracts signed at $4 million and above, during this time period, this July 4th period, the average is 18 contracts signed. So we're actually doing just kind of fine when you think about it. All right, let's talk about the number one contract signed. It was a townhouse at 228 West 11th Street, asking $25 million when it was listed in the middle of May. It was recently renovated. It has 4 stories. It's 25 feet wide. It has almost 6,500 square feet, includes 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and 2 offices. It has outdoor space totaling almost 2,500 square feet. The outdoor space includes a garden. It has a gazebo and a hot tub. The house does not have an elevator, but it does have low real estate taxes, about $36,000 a year. The number 2 contract was apartment 23C at 740 Park Avenue, asking $13.9 million. That is reduced from $19.5 million when it was listed 2 years ago. This duplex co-op has 5 bedrooms, 6.5 bathrooms, 2 fireplaces, and almost 11-foot ceilings. Now, important to note, this building does not allow financing, and major renovations can only be done between May 15th and September 15th. The amenities include a doorman, fitness center, and storage. Let's take a look at the stats for last week. The total weekly asking price sales volume, $143,369,999. Average asking price, $7,545,789. Median asking price, $6,595,000. Average discount from original ask to last asking price, 6%. Last week, I mentioned that anytime we're getting anything over, let's say 4% negotiability, it's time to start paying attention to that. Could be an indicator that sellers are quite interested in making a deal right now, so they're being a little more negotiable. The average days on the market, 358. Again, not all of these are resales. We do have some new development in the mix, so that does account for the longer days on the market. All right, that is it for the luxury market. Let me know if you have any questions. Post your comments below. We're going to talk about Manhattan now. What happened last week in the Manhattan market? We're actually going to take a look at not only what happened last week, but we're also going to step back a little bit. I'm going to share some charts with you. We're going to talk about what happened last week. We're going to talk about what has happened over the last month. And then we're going to take a look at a much broader view, year over year. We're going to take a look as far back as 2019. We're going to start with what happened last week. There were 326 properties that came on the market That is a slight uptick, almost 30%. Signed contracts were down about 14% at 194, and the off-market properties were at 153. Now, I wanted to step back and take a look at this monthly chart, which I'm sharing with you. The supply is down almost 34%. So over the month, 1,368 properties came on the market. Contracts signed also down about 25% at 879. So we're seeing reduced contract activity. Off-market properties, 826. That is up almost 46%. Why? Likely, sellers do not really want to participate in this market because they know they have fewer buyers. They know the market is in transition. The market is declining. And so if they don't have to sell, they are not participating in this. Let's go back now. We're going to take a look at a chart that shows from 2022 all the way back to 2019. If you look at the supply, the actively listed inventory in Manhattan, you can see it is sliding down. The demand, the pending sales are also lower again, really with no expectation of an uptrend until likely the end of summer, early fall. We know that July, August, September are our slowest months, so it could be a little while before we really start to see the buyer demand kick back in again. While the weekly new listings ticked up a little, as I showed you, the downtrend remains in place as expected. So contract signed ticked down this week. They'll likely remain in a downtrend until the end of the summer. If you think about it, during our recovery period, which lasted about 16 months, the COVID, let's call them the quiet times, it was about a 6-month period, but the recovery was 16 months. During that recovery period, we were averaging about 1,800 contracts a month. We are now about 55% of that. Where is this going? Well, the next few months will be somewhat of an indicator. Given that it is our slower time, seasonally speaking, it's probably likely to continue a bit of a downward trend. How low does that mean? Not quite sure. Don't have a crystal ball, but let's keep an eye on it. I'll continue to report on this. If you look at the Manhattan contracts signed year over year, if you compare 2022 monthly contracts signed to 2021, you can clearly see how the market begins to slow from the above average levels in mid-April down, let's say 27%. The contracts signed year over year, if you look at the kind of comparisons, the year over year comparisons signed since 2020, you can show how these kind of negative comparisons will likely last for the foreseeable future. You can see this just unbelievable spike. All that green is our recovery period, and that went on for 16 months. All right, a long-term look at the year-over-year change in monthly contract signed puts this current market into perspective. The massive recovery, the massive jump in volume post-pandemic negatively skews impressions of current activity. Are we dead in the water? Absolutely not. But comparatively, it just looks so extreme. But keep in mind, we are comparing it with another extreme period, this period of extreme recovery. Again, a little too soon to know exactly where this is going. Sellers, if you need to sell, I'm just going to keep saying it, make sure that you adjust your prices if you are not getting the offers you want. If you want to get a deal done in this market, you need to have an asking price that looks appealing to buyers, meaning you want to be best in your category. You want it to be the best looking to the buyers out there, because then that is how you will get buyer traffic and you will start getting offers. Buyers, again, keep an eye on this contract signed activity, right? And I'll continue to report on this, but as we begin to see probably what will be more declines in contract activity as we move further into the summer, be ready, because that's your signal to make your move. If you find something you like, jump on it, because it's only going to go down just so far and then it's going to start to go back up. That's it for the Manhattan market, both for the week, the month, and for the few years. If you have any questions, post them below. Otherwise, let's move on to Brooklyn. So what's going on in Brooklyn? Let's take a look at what happened last week, and we're also going to take a look at what's happened over the last month. So much the same way that I showed you the charts for Manhattan a week, a month, you can see that a week is a very, very small view. So let's start though. We'll take a look at what happened last week in Brooklyn. The supply was 328. That is actually up a little bit, 36%. The contract signed was down about 15%, 194. We see that there are some off-market properties, even just over the last week, 150. Now, that says that is down 42%. However, now we're going to take a look at the monthly view, and you're going to see that how that is important when we're looking at what's going on in the market. The supply is actually 865 for the month. That means it's down about 28%. This is what we would expect seasonally. Not as many sellers are interested in putting their properties on the market when they know they have fewer buyer eyes on the market. The contract signed also down about 28%, 579 contracts signed over the last month. That's down fairly significantly from the spring market. Now, the off-market properties are kind of a big tell here about the state of the market. Up 42% properties that went off the market. 405 properties went off the market over the last month. Again, these are sellers that perhaps they're only sellers at a price. If they can't get the price they want, they're not going to sell. Maybe they'll rent it out instead, as I mentioned last week. But also maybe these are sellers that are just a little nervous about what's going on in the market, and so they're pulling back, coming off the market and regrouping. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Sellers, I know you're tired of hearing me say this, but really, if you're a serious seller, if you're not getting the traction you want, you're like, hey, where are my offers? I've been on the market for a couple of weeks now. I'm not getting any showings. Nobody's coming to my open house. Where are my offers? What's going on? It is your price. You need to adjust your price if you want to sell in this market. Again, no heroics, somewhere 3-4%. So, you don't have to do anything crazy. If you compare it to where the prices were in the spring, figure 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6%. And also remember, your asking price is not your selling price. The asking price is a strategy to get people in, get them excited, and get them making offers. Okay, that's it for Brooklyn. I'll be back next week with more state of the market news about Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the luxury market. In the meantime, please post your questions below. Feel free to subscribe to my state of the market reports so that you can have the current information about what is going on in the New York City real estate market. I'll be back next week. In the meantime, take care.